And we're live on Champ Chat. It's been a while since I had a chance to do the show. A lot of the champs have been ducking me lately, but I got a chance to get the newest and the newly crowned world champion. Let's welcome everybody, Paris Gordon, with a round of applause if you're there in front of your computer. Clap, by all means. Say hello to everybody, Paris.
Hi, what's going on?
All right. So when we do Champ Chat, the first thing we want to do is we always want to get the history of the show. A lot of the champs have been ducking me lately, but I got a chance to get the newest and the... Oh, geez, Louise, I just realized that my YouTube link is... let's welcome... Do you hear that?
Yeah.
I'm like, where is my own voice coming from? Little technical difficulties, a little bit of noobness, if you will. So let's try this again. Paris, a lot of our fans like to know the history of our champions. So back to where you started in Heroclix, when you started, what set you started in, start with that, and how you kind of got into competitive play.
Okay. I've actually been technically playing since Infinity Challenge, since the very first set. My dad picked it up, and we were mainly just collectors for a long time. We would like play at the house and stuff. Yeah, I've been playing for pretty much since I was like 7, I think, when Infinity Challenge came out. So I've been playing pretty much my whole life. But I didn't start going. My first tournament I went to was right after Giant Size X-Men came out. And I mean, since then, that's since I've been playing competitively. I met the people that are now my teammates at that event, and ever since then I've been playing competitively.
All right, excellent. Now, your team, of course, Team Ragnarok. You guys have been practicing obviously together. You guys come up with your teams together. When you're coming up with your teams, do you guys tend to lean towards let's everybody play this best strategy, or is your team more about let's play to everybody's strengths? Do you have a brains behind the operation, a collector behind the operation?
It depends. I mean, it's kind of both. It's if one of us builds one team that everybody thinks is just like the best team hands down, then there's going to be probably a lot of us playing it. But if we're kind of in disagreement, like, well, I think this team is the best, but somebody else thinks another one is the best, then we'll split it up, and it tends to go more towards whoever built the team and whoever's strengths and stuff. But there are a lot of times that we end up playing the same team.
Excellent.
We tested it and we just decide that it's the best.
Right. Now, you mentioned your father introduced you to the game. Is he a member of your team as well? Is it kind of a family operation?
Yeah. He, him, me, him, and then Ronnie, and his dad Elliot, and one of our other guys, Alex. I think those were the 5 founding members, if you will. And then, but we quickly added people. So there are a lot of pretty much almost everyone is basically a founding member because we added them like right after. There have been a few new additions recently, but there's 13 of us now.
Excellent. Now, do you find that having your father being a member of the team as well gives you that extra chance to play? Do you play more often than you say most other players, like just at home with your dad getting some practice?
I don't know compared to other players, but it definitely helps. It definitely helps me a lot of times because if there was nobody here, because I'm an only child, so if there was nobody here to play this with, I would just be playing myself basically. So it definitely helps to have someone here that you can play test, whenever you want to, pretty much.
I know that feeling. As far as competitive play this year, your name has shown up. You and Ronnie, your names have shown up an awful lot in the ROCs, the Rock tournaments. And do you find that your participation in these tournaments prepared you for the higher levels of nationals and worlds? I know last year Patrick, he won them all. He won a whole ton of them and became world champ. So is that pivotal in getting there?
Yeah, definitely. I think that if you the tournament experience helps you a lot, not just with nerves, because once it's your like 20th tournament or whatever, the nerves kind of aren't as much, even if it is worlds. And so it helps with that a lot, and then it just helps. Playing the best competition always improves, your game, and it always helps you better. So yeah, the Rock has helped a lot.
All right. Now, we're up to the Worlds. Let's talk about your road to Worlds. Did you participate in nationals as well? Correct.
Yeah, I didn't qualify, but I did go.
Okay. Yeah, I can understand that feeling. So how would you compare your experience? Like, was nationals more of a learning experience going into Worlds, or do you find nationals was a different experience altogether and something that you took all the information you got from there and moved that into Worlds?
Nationals was kind of it was pretty different because for one thing the qualifiers were sealed, they weren't constructed for the I mean, they had the team worlds at Worlds, but the main Worlds was constructed the whole way. So it's a totally different thing when you're preparing for sealed versus constructed.
Right.
Honestly, this was my third Worlds that I've been to. So the other two Worlds probably helped me prepare more for this because it's the same basic experience. Although I did think that this year's was run better than it has ever before.
Yeah, I'm hearing that a lot, actually. Even Kenny mentioned that on the show.
Yeah, I saw.
Yeah. Now, I have to ask because you're right. The whole nationals experience is very different with it being 100% sealed to qualify in order to get into the constructed zone. How do you practice for something like sealed? Do you guys get a brick and start cracking the packs from there, or
sort of? We a lot of us buy a brick or a case or whatever when the set comes out anyway. So we'll use that first one a lot of times to play seals and stuff like that. And then after that, we'll try to just kind of make it random, like this is a theoretical booster you could get, stuff like that. Put a few figures on the map just to see how they play and stuff like that. And memorizing dials helps a lot too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, how much information? I didn't look at the information because I didn't go. How much information prior to the event did you have going in? Like, did you guys know what packs you're going to be picking from?
For the team worlds?
For team worlds or for nationals? I'm just kind of leading up to worlds.
Neither one really. I figured that they would do one of the newest set. Like nationals, the newest one was Trinity War, so that's what I thought. I thought they were going to do 2 Trinity War. And then they did the 1 Trinity War 1 Legion, which I wasn't expecting at all. Yeah, and so going into Worlds, I figured that they would probably do that again, but I didn't know what the other set was going to be. But they ended up doing 1 Avengers, 1 Trinity War. But I figured they would do 1 Avengers and 1 something else, but they did do 1 Trinity War.
Okay. All right, so let's get you into the qualifiers for Worlds. Now, did you qualify immediately on the first tournament, or did you have to play through both tournaments?
Yeah, I had to play through both. The first day, I went 2-2, and then the second day I went 4-0.
Okay. Oh, you went 4-0 in the second one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, because that's one of the things I heard was we sent a guy up there ourselves. Myself and Amber couldn't get out there this year. We're hoping to do next year. But he was telling us that if you got 4-0 in one of the 2 qualifiers, you're in for sure. Yeah. And then after that, it was based on your record, depending on how many national champs showed up, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, basically, I mean, after I went 2-2 the first day, I knew that I pretty much had to go undefeated the second day to qualify, right. Which I did. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Now I have to, as far as the 2 qualifiers are concerned, did you use the same team that you ended up using the final day, or were you
the entire time I used the same team?
Okay. All right. So actually, by the end of it, you knew that team back to front as well as in practice, and
yeah, I know that team really well.
All right. So let's talk about your trip from the top 32 up to the final. Who'd you play against? How did each match play out? Okay. And yeah, go from there.
All right. Well, so the first day, the top 32 day, Saturday. I go and they place us down. I sit down and stuff, and the whole weekend I've been thinking, as long as I don't face a copycat, I'll be okay. And then first round I look across the sheet and it's copycat. I was like, this is gonna be bad. And I wasn't sure. There had been conflicting rulings about whether you could copycat like a unique if you already had the same unique. For example, Faust. So that's why I wasn't sure. And I asked them. They said you could. And so I got my Faust copycatted. So it was, my team, but with copycat instead of Faust versus 2 Fausts, Brother Voodoo with Ion and the green battery. And I was like, this is gonna be rough. But I was on the map, the Uru Forge map from Fear itself, where you can like sit in the middle and you take damage and you get the tokens. So I just sat copycat in there and pushed her and took a click every turn. Eventually she died there. I got my Faust back, and then I was able to win out from there. So that was a really close game, but so I won that one. And then second round of the Swiss, I played actually the brother of a guy that I played in qualifying with almost the same team. It was the Rick Jones chase with Proselyte, I think. Iron Pharaoh with Parallax and Ophidian, and an Indigo battery. And I get the concept. He was sending out the Falcon and the Pogs while he was keeping his back, and I couldn't shoot him with the Indigo battery and stuff like that. But I have such a long range on my team that I was able to get over there immediately. And if Faust is stopping him from moving the Falcon, then the Falcon can't really do anything. And it was just a bad matchup for his team. So I ended up winning that one. And then so I was 2-0 in Swiss, so I knew that I was in for top 16. So they cut to top 16. And first round I go against Ronnie, who's playing the exact same team as me. And I was like, this, it's basically it's going to be whoever can hit the rolls first is going to win. And so I went first. I won map roll. I rolled something off Alice that didn't matter. He rolled something that didn't matter. And then I rolled the one that locked him on like close combat actions or move actions or one of those. And so I was able to move up safely. And the next turn I killed his Faust. And I mean, that was pretty much game from there. And but that was anybody could have won that match. It's a mirror match.
Yeah.
And so I won that. So that put me in top 8. And that was when I played Kenny, who I think was definitely my closest match of the day, and probably my hardest one too. I guess you could say their mirror match could have been the hardest. One dice roll could have made it completely the other way. But that one was definitely my closest. It went on for a long time, and Kenny was the only person the entire weekend that actually KO'd my spiral. And so that was he put me on he was playing Phantom X. I think he described his team on your show the other day, but Phantom X with Faust and a Indigo battery. And I killed his Faust early, I killed his Bill early, and then he kept supporting back Phantom X with the Indigo battery. Everybody gets support from the ring. Plus he gets the benefit from Phantom X, the Proselyte ability where he doesn't subtract 2 from the support roll and all that stuff. Yeah. So I probably did like 15 clicks to Phantom X, and he supported it all the way back up. Pulse Wave Spiral, and then the last action of the game, I pushed Spiral to death to Pulse Wave his Phantom X to death, and that was the end of the game. So that was a really good game. He's a really good player. That was really close. Yeah. That put me in top 4. That's where I played Luke, and Luke Grace battering on Realms. And he had just beat Patrick, the world champion from last year, who is obviously a great player as well. Yeah. And so I was worried going into that, and it was another Phantom X too, which had just given me problems. So I was worried about that, but I think I locked him down on close combat actions or range combat actions for like 3 turns in a row or something. And so I don't think he ever left his starting area that game, and it just there wasn't really much he could do about it, and the game was over pretty quick. But again, if one different D20 roll, and it could have been a totally different game. Yeah. So that was, and then so then I played Phil in the final match, and he had just beat Kenji, who is another great player, with another team I was scared of. But I go against Phil, and the scariest thing about that match was I didn't really know what the Sentinel does. And and that was props to him. He knew that. He knew people weren't going to know what Sentinel does, And so I was worried about that. I didn't really. I mean, I had a basic game plan, the same basic game plan that I use every match, but I didn't really know exactly what I was going to do. And so he moved up. He missed the attack on Loki, and I've seen people saying that he shouldn't have moved up, but I totally get why he was. I mean, if he kills Loki, that clicks up on the Phoenix Force, which gives him +2 attack and whatnot. It drops a prob from my team, and if he rolls doubles, then he actually clicks up twice on the Phoenix Force, which gives him +2 everything. And I think invincible. I'm not quite sure, but I get what he's trying to do. But he missed the roll. He only needed a 5 too, and then I locked him down on close combat actions, pulse waved him with Spiral, shot him with Faust, I took the feedback from Faust from that special ability he had, Sentinel has, and he went all. I had forgot that he had rolled that, so I went all the way to my next to last click with Faust. But then he had to pass his next turn, and then I finished him off with another Pulse Wave from Spiral. And while the game, he actually put up a detailed write up on Realms, and while the game only lasted 3 turns or whatever it was, if there was one different roll, it could have lasted a lot longer and been a lot rougher match. So I was lucky with the dice roll, and then that was it.
Yeah, I think you're right about that Sentinels. There's a lot of people who get confused when they see that Sentinel, and I have confused people with that Sentinel. Not a lot of people dismiss it because the 150 point dial doesn't seem that long. It doesn't seem that great, but it is a very potent figure, especially if you get the right rolls on that extra dial that he gets.
Oh yeah.
It can get multi-attack on one of them.
Yeah.
So, as long as I'm allowed to take a power action, I got 2 actions coming in the way of somebody.
I went home that night and looked it all up and figured out what it did and stuff.
Yeah, I guess you would have to if you see it. Now you did get a chance to play in Team Worlds. Not we already know that the guys from Ohio won in that. That was 100% sealed.
Yeah. The whole thing was sealed, and I'm pretty sure that every single round it was 1 Trinity, 1 Avengers.
Okay, and how was that experience? Was it fun?
It was fun. I mean, I like sealed. Sealed's a fun format. I'm not a big fan of it for competitive play, but since they already have the singles worlds, it's kind of fine for it to be there as its own thing, That's why I didn't really like about nationals is the whole main thing you had to qualify through sealed, and I don't really like sealed as a competitive format. But for the team worlds, it's fine. So it was fun. We went as a team we went 1 and 2 the first day, and then 2 and 1 the next day. We ended up 2 spots out of qualifying.
Ouch.
And yeah, congrats to the Ohio guys for winning that. That was good.
All right. Now, we are generally the champs are allowed to tell me, and I hope you are. What you making?
Well, I haven't heard back from them yet. I'm gonna try to make Mephisto.
Cool.
For Marvel, it is subject to licensor approval and all that stuff. So I'm gonna if I send that in and it gets rejected, I'll have to send in other stuff. I have some other ideas, but I think that one should be fine. I don't see any licensing problems with it, and that's the one that I hope to make. Right.
Yeah, I don't see any issue with Mephisto. They just got the Ghost Rider license back, which came with Mephisto, and I'm sure they want to sell the character at some point. I have to ask, are you throwing yourself on the model?
I plan on it. Yep.
All right.
Edition going.
You know what? It's cool. It's a trend, and it started with George Masu, and it's just been kind of continuing. And I'm starting to get used to it, and it's a nice touch. Let yourself be part of the model. So just prepare yourself for the negativity that comes with that.
Oh yeah, I know.
Keep it clean.
I'm unprepared for it.
Yeah. And now I don't know. I haven't been looking at the Realms or any kind of commentary about it. How has the being champion been with you? I mean, have you seen a lot of negativity in the forums? Are you actually not seeing very much people congratulating you, or are people more or less complaining about Faust over complaining about the fact that you won?
Yeah, there's obviously there's a lot of positive comments. There's a lot of people congratulating me, stuff like that. But there is a lot of negative stuff too. However, I will say that a lot of the negative stuff is more about Faust and not about me personally. They're not making personal attacks on me and stuff like that. And I do agree that Faust needs to be changed. So I don't really take offense to a lot of it. And yeah, it's been good.
All right. Now that was going to actually be my next question. Do you think Faust needs to be changed? And are you in the camp of the get rid of the rerolls on him?
Yeah, I think that. But I definitely think that you shouldn't be able to reroll just D20s in general. I think that'll be a good rule just to put in the rule book for past and future. But I don't know if that's enough for Faust, because if you do watch that final match, I did use prob the first turn, but that was before I was like, oh wait, he has first round immunity anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I stopped probbing, and then I didn't prob for the rest of the game. So I really didn't use prob that whole game on my D20. So I don't really know if that's enough. I think if you make his lockdown powers power actions instead of free actions, I think that might be a good idea. Or if Phil actually told me this idea. The second place guy, he said that instead of where you can only take move actions or whatever, make it so you can't take move actions or you can't take close combat actions or whatever. I think that would be a good fix also.
Yeah, because that the fact that it takes away 4 different actions and only allows you to 1 is, and with as many rolls as it has that you can get that from, it's a little insane.
Yeah, you can't really. There's not really any way to play around it because you only have 1 option at best.
Yeah. Now, did you get a chance to talk to Phil much afterwards? I mean, this was Phil's second appearance in the top 2, so obviously Phil has got it going, and he did win a rock a little while ago too. So this is not a flash in the pan player. He's a consistently good performer.
He's a really cool guy. I talked to him quite a bit before and after actually, and talked to him about some ideas for my figure because he gets to make an ATA also, I believe, for getting second. I don't know if that's for second or fellowship or how they did it, but I'm pretty sure he does get to make an ATA. So we talked some about that, and yeah, he's a great player and a great team builder. All his teams are. He said that he built over 60 teams for this event. He builds like crazy, and he builds really good. I mean, that Super Skull team that he won the Super Skull Lydia team from the Rock, that became like a staple team almost. I played against somebody else playing that in day 2 of qualifying. So I mean, it's like a team that you have to play test against, or you're going to lose to it. So yeah, he's definitely a good player.
Absolutely. And now let's get talking about the game itself and where it stands right now. This is going to be the first time where we see cuts to the modern age after the World Championships, because usually it comes a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
And, originally, I was speculating that Wolverine and the X-Men was the bubble, but now the way that they're cutting it, they're looking a year in advance. Now that could get it to be a fairly deep cut. And are you like, how far do you think they're going to go with the modern age cut?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely think through Teen Titans is gone. I think that's kind of a given. Because that was even legal in 2013 Worlds.
Yeah.
So I mean, Wolverine the X-Men, like you said, is kind of the bubble. It came out right at 2013 Worlds, but it wasn't legal yet. So it's only actually, but now it's been legal for 2 Worlds if you count this one. So I don't know. I don't know. They might. Oh, see, I thought Iron Man was older than it was too. I don't know. They might go through. I don't know. I still maybe just go through Wolverine. That might be the.
I'm going to put a look of shock on your face. If you speculate and base it on the 2 Worlds appearances, the bubble goes as far as Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, that's right. Guardians
of the Galaxy showed up the year it showed up. It showed up the week or the day of World starting. And if you think about the 2 appearance rule, that goes past Deadpool. Deadpool's shown up for 2 Worlds now, right? So I don't know. I mean, this is something I've started speculating about, thinking about the fact that they might be cutting that far as well to kind of get to where they've started to fix things. I want to
do that. If they go like really deep, they might go to like Slosh. Might be a good guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting.
It would definitely get rid of all those figures that you need a second piece of paper with all the erratas on, because that's like Slosh.
Yeah, like Spider-Man.
Now, that said, yourself, do you keep a sizable collection? Do you still have stuff from the Infinity Challenge Day? Or do you do kind of like what me and Amber do and just kind of cut with the moderns so we're not keeping up too much space?
Since we started as collectors, we've pretty much stayed collectors. Now we're kind of, the collecting is secondary to the playing, but we're still collectors at the end of the day. And so, yeah, we have stuff all the way from Infinity Challenge. We have a good amount of pretty much every set, and a lot of sets are complete actually. Like from the time of like Web of Spider-Man through like Slosh or somewhere around there. A lot of those are like complete sets. That's when we were like heavy collecting. So yeah, we have a pretty sizable collection.
Okay. Excuse me. Now I like to ask this question because I'm kind of speculating on it. Are you noticing that there's something of a reverse power creep where characters are like the game itself, the characters that are coming out aren't as impressive as, say, something as far back as Guardians of the Galaxy and further back. Because personally, I like, this is again personal. Since Flash, I've been speculating that the game is actually starting to tighten up and get a little less powerful, which is also why I think the cuts could go that far as well.
Right.
Yeah, are you noticing it as much as I am, or I mean,
I think they are going back to more like the Secret Invasion type of days, And there's a lot of, if you look for a long time, it was hard to find figures, decent point costed figures over 6 clicks. But as recently as about less than a year ago, you start getting things like Spiral with 8 clicks and Proxima with 7. Coriander has 8. You're getting a lot more deeper dials with instead of short dials with a ton of special powers. It's more like the old figures where you had kind of longer dials with you have to worry about mid dial figures that get good mid dial stuff like that. So I do think that they're kind of reversing their direction that they went for a while, because I mean you look at the Avengers and Trinity War. There's not a ton of stuff from them that's super meta, I mean, they each have their individual things, but if you look at stuff like Wolverine and the X-Men and Legion and stuff like that, they had a huge number of meta figures. So I definitely noticed that as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Legion Superheroes, I found that actually at the time was probably one of the most potent sets that came out for a long time, until I believe Guardians of the Galaxy.
Especially when,
Sorry?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah. Especially when they before Bizarro, Highfather, and Tellus all got eroded. I mean, those were 3 huge meta figures, and they still are. Well, not Tellus, but the other 2 still are.
Yeah, absolutely. Heck, even Bizarro, when they made the change to him, I turned to everybody and said, that doesn't change 25-point Bizarro. He's still going to show up. And he did.
Yep.
He showed up a lot more than any other figure.
Yeah, 25 Bizarros, yeah, he's definitely still good. And Phantom Girl's still really great, too.
Yeah. All right. So I got nothing else to add from as far as questions go. So I'm going to start turning to the fans because they've actually asked a couple of questions that I didn't want to add to the collection because they did ask. So first we have Franco Harris is asking, what do you think about the ROC's banning of Faust?
Okay. Personally, I'm fine with it as long as it lasts until WizKids does something. If WizKids doesn't do anything, then just leave it banned. If they change something, bring it back in, see how it does, go from there. Which I'm pretty sure is what they're going to do. And I think it's fine. I mean, if you leave it in, anytime anybody builds a team, if they want to win, they either have to play Faust or build specifically against Faust. And that's too, it just over centralizes the whole game, and it focuses the whole game on one figure, and that's not a healthy scene. So I'm fine with them banning it until it gets changed. It's definitely better than them trying to errata it themselves. That would get confusing, and that was it's just better just to okay, it's not allowed at our events until they do something, and go from there. So I'm happy with it. All
right. Yeah, and I do believe that it's kind of a good reaction in the meantime. And I wonder if it kind of makes me think forward to, are they going to do this to characters that are watch listed in the future? Are they going to do this quick? Hey, you know what? Since they're waiting on an errata, maybe we should ban them. But usually the watch list doesn't last long enough for it to be that much of a problem for very long.
I mean, it does set a bit of a precedent, but as long as they do it judiciously, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, and I agree with that wholeheartedly. Next question from Jacques Lee. Does Paris think he could have won without Faust? And if so, what would you have chosen?
I think in general, if Faust himself didn't exist, I still think I could have won. But I don't think that I could have won without playing Faust against Fausts. Even though Phil made it all the way, and he only he lost in the finals to Faust, but he beat a lot, and there were a lot of players that did beat a lot of Faust. I know Patrick beat quite a few Fausts himself, and so it's definitely possible. But I mean that was the only team that I built was that Spiral Faust team. So I don't think that if I would have chosen not to play Faust and I would have ran up against the Fausts like that, I don't think I would have won.
All right. So next up, we don't have a question there. Oh, here we go. I think I kind of asked this, but somebody's going to dig a little bit further. So I already asked, are you going to put yourself on the model? But Chris Stockhouse wants to know, what's Mephisto going to be doing to you?
I have some ideas. I think I don't know. I was thinking about maybe having me like as sort of as one of his little servants or followers or demons or souls or whatever. That's kind of my basic idea. Maybe me like making a contract with him of some sort. Because I did play Faust sold his soul to Mephisto in mythology. So I might do something like that. We'll see. But I do have some ideas.
He's young and he's smart, guys. And then the next question is actually on the YouTube link here, and it's giving me a bit of a pain in the butt to find. Here it is. All right. The Rugged Dookie, who we all know as Aaron Cantu. Nice try hiding, buddy. Were there any other teams that you saw that you thought could present unique challenges to your team, but you never played against?
Yeah, definitely. I think the main one, which I actually played against in the hotel room because I was staying with them, was Patrick and Kevin's team, the Scarlet Witch team.
Right.
That's a really tough team because if you don't, and my team doesn't really have the highest attack values. I'm pretty much maxing it at 12 unless I pick the Cyclops Fragment and RCE. I'm pretty much maxing it at 12. So, with Scarlet Witch, that's basically a 9, and that's really low. So I lost to it in the hotel. So that's definitely a scary team. I do think that I could have beat it had we played, but it definitely would have been a tough match. The team that Aaron himself played, it would have been rough. I think I didn't see him actually play it, so I'm kind of guessing here. But I think his basic idea, he had a lot of prob, he had a lot of barrier. I know that I heard people say that he was trying to roll the yellow and blow things up and go from there and just kind of protect himself, prob till he does, or locks them down or whatever. But pretty much any Faust is a rough matchup because you never know what's going to happen. You could just have to sit there,
Yeah. Well, and I remember playing against him in Canadian Nationals. I don't know how much of my noise got out there or who made the noise about Faust and his lockdown. But I was a spectator in my game in Canadian Nationals. Amber was a spectator in her game, so his lockdown is not fun. And
no, definitely.
That yellow power definitely wrecked house against my team at Nationals because it was a Glass Cannon team. So.
Okay, yeah. That's why I ended up deciding to play it because I would build a team that I think, this is a good, clever team. Oh, well, I can't do anything for 5 turns anyway, so it doesn't matter. And so that's why I decided to end up playing Faust.
Right. All right. So I do want to address the other fact about yourself as a champion. You are the youngest Heroclix champion and probably the first of the generation to have started the game when they're just learning how to read and very young. You started the game about a year older than my daughter is now.
Okay.
So does the fact that you've been playing from as young as you were when you started playing to where you are right now, do you think that has a major factor in it? As far as how far you got?
I think it has a pretty good I think it's a pretty big factor. I also I played Yu-Gi-Oh when I was a kid too. Right. I went to, and that's where I got my actual tournament experience. When I was like between the ages of like 6 and 9 or 10 or so, I was going to Yu-Gi-Oh tournaments, and so that's how I kind of knew how tournaments worked and stuff. And so I think just growing up, your whole life playing games and stuff like that, it kind of gives you just a natural inclination towards competitive strategy gaming and stuff like that. And I think it definitely helped a lot.
All right.
It's kind of like the people who spend their entire childhood playing basketball. So when they're older, their body's already trained for it. It's kind of like that, but with your mind.
Yep, absolutely. And it's one of those things. Kids, everybody who's got kids, get your kids into games. They'll get better at them in the future, and they'll be better thinkers.
A perfect example. I don't know if you've heard of Isaac from 4 Points.
Isaac actually came up. Isaac came up with the team that Edward was playing. His father, because he came up with the idea of using Faust and Doctor Strange with a green battery, and that's the game I got to watch play, even though I was.
Okay. Yeah, he's a prodigy. That's what. Yeah, I'm the youngest world champion for now.
In the meantime, Isaac is on his way, and I've seen the intensity and the thought that goes through that young man, and he's an up and comer, if you ask me. By the time he's your age, he might have more than one world champ or national champion belt.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to play against him myself, but if I was playing against his brain in that team, I am terrified of what else
I've never played him one-on-one, but me and my dad did a team battle royale against him and Scott Crampton at Nationals, and they destroyed us. I mean, he's really good.
Yeah. So kudos to young Isaac and the youth of the game right now. There's a lot of young guys who are up and coming, trained by their fathers in some cases, or just have been playing for that long, just happen across the game, and they're doing really well. And I applaud all you guys for it. My old butt has been at this since I've been old enough to drink, so I'm pretty sure the alcohol and brain cell loss has not helped my skills at all. I believe we may have connection. You good? I think we had a connection issue. Your face was kind of staring at me for a second there. So,
yeah, well, I think we're good now.
I think we're in and out still.
Yeah, is everything
okay? I we may have lost you.
I mean,
it's kind of an awkward way to
go. Hear me?
I'm hearing you in and out.
Okay.
Am I
yeah, you're fine on my end. I don't know.
Okay. All right. I think you've just kind of your internet's caught up now.
Okay.
Yeah, there might be a little bit of lag, but that does cover all the viewer questions, and that does cover all of my questions. Is there anything you kind of want to go out on, Paris? Anything you want to say on the way out before we wrap it up?
I definitely want to say thanks to all of Team Ragnarok, all my teammates, helping me build the team, practice, stuff like that. We definitely plan on showing up at the WizKids tournaments are pretty much done for the year, but we plan on going to all the Rock tournaments, well, as many as we can, obviously, and Ragnarok.
Yeah, and I'm sure you're planning on hitting your local state as well as Rocktober.
Definitely. I think our schedule right now, we have the states coming up in a couple of weeks. I think we're trying to go. I think there's a. I think Rocktober. That should be.
All right. Paris, I believe you've got a bit of lag going on as far as the internet's concerned. It kind of chopped out there. But I got as far as states.
Yeah, states, and then there's a Tulsa Rock Regional in July, and then Rocktober.
Those are a lot of big tournaments coming up for yourself to kind of show off that you still have the skills, if you will.
Yeah, that's the plan.
I guess that's one last question I want to ask before we finally wrap it all up. Are you feeling the pressure now where you got to go to a tournament and win every time now, or do you not quite feel that where it's just, Worlds is its own thing and it's time to just move on to the next thing? I've won Worlds. I've got to try to keep my skills loose, but,
Kind of both. I think, it does put a little pressure on me to, that I know now that I can win, so every tournament that I go to, I'll be expecting to win, but I won't really have, I won't feel that I have to, because I know that, there's always more tournaments, so I think it more gives me confidence than pressure. So I'm fine with it.
All right. Well, I wish you all the luck in your upcoming tournaments at the States and at Rocktober and at your regional in Tulsa. Congratulations on your big win at Worlds. And congratulations on being currently the youngest Heroclix Worlds champion. And let's see if you can, you'll only be young for so long.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
No problem. I want to thank our viewers for joining us. I want to thank Paris for joining me on the show and being a wonderful guest. I wish you all luck in the future. And I want to say once again, everybody have a good evening. And remember, practice makes your team better.